Are there different tiers to wealth that you've noticed?
Yeah.
Like for people that go from 0 to 100,
Sure.
100 to a million.
Sure.
What are those tiers and when do you see diminishing returns?
I think Felix Dennis has a book called it's like How to Be Rich. I think it's How to Be I'll Teach You to Be Rich or How to Be Rich, something like that. Anyways, it's funny, but like the first chapter, he breaks down like 11 levels of wealth. And he says basically after $400 million liquid, he's like, that's when you're truly wealthy. And he was worth that much money. He's like, at that point, it's like you can really do whatever you want. I do think that the jumps are much smaller in the beginning in terms of what makes a really big difference. I think going from anything to about 6 figures a year is a material change. I think going from even 10,000 a month to 20,000 a month is a significant change. Going from there to about 40 or 50 is another change. And if we think about like how we're defining the change, it's usually like, what are the variables that affect someone's daily living? So it's going to be where they live, the schools that their kids can go to, the vacations they can take, where they can stay, the food they eat, the clothes they wear. Like those are all, but almost all of those are affected mostly, I would say like up to kind of like that 1% earning level, which is about $500,000 a year. Now you can live a baller lifestyle 500, but not really save anything. And so if you're a responsible saver, it really depends on your saving. I'm actually a lot like Graham, believe it or not, even though I spend money because Layla spends money, but like by percentage of income, I spend a very small percentage of my income. And so it really just depends on your appetite for saving versus spending. And I think that's entirely personal because it's really just a question of risk. Like how much risk am I willing to take on? But beyond that, that's just a ratio. But after that, it's like, you have nicer and nicer houses. You go on nicer and nicer vacations. You travel private. Maybe that's at a couple $1,000,000 a year. You start traveling private. After that, again, it's just like you're buying boats and you're buying houses. Like you can't, at a certain point, you really can't consume any more of it. I will say this is that I do think that, and this is controversial, but I do think that money, because they had a study, it's like up to $70,000 a year, and now like inflation adjusted, it's probably closer to 100. I actually think it continues to go up beyond that, but I think the problem is that people have a skill deficiency in terms of how to spend money. I think most people know how to spend money effectively up to $100,000 a year in terms of how to make their life better, but they don't know how to spend it above that in terms of like things that improve their lives. Like I think it's a learnable skill. I think you can get better at spending money to make your life better. And so for me, things that make my life better are going to be things that buy me time back, things that basically are all the annoyances and frustrations in my life. If I can pay to make those go away, those are things that net enhance. And then long-term in terms of purpose, it's like if you find something meaningful, you can actually devote real resources and make a change or an impact, which I think is,
you should see the updated study on that. That whole $75,000
thing.
That's
been debunked?
No, that was done in a different country with, so
great.
They
you
did
would
one,
know. So
they did one recently.
Yeah.
Within the last 10 years of the United States.
Okay.
And they found that I think it was about $150,000 was where you get peak dollar to value ratio.
Okay.
It continues up
just
higher,
diminishing returns.
but diminishing returns. And they found
that
the diminishing returns really stopped about $650,000
about
a year.
top 1%.
They found that over $1 million a year, you actually have lower quality of life. And I'm guessing it's because you have more
Stress.
problems,
Money problems,
career issues, or maybe friends are not friends with you, or you have fake people
and you
around
gotta manage money, which is another, like a whole nother thing.
Right. But it was really, $650, $700,000. And then it just kind of tapers after that.
That seems super believable. But like after, $5 or $10 million a year in income, like the next strata is like, I don't know, 25, maybe 30, 40 million a year in income, like where you can do like even, crazier things, I guess. But at a certain point when you can buy the hotels you stay at, it's like whatever. I don't know. I don't have a need for a mega yacht. I think Layla wants one though.
You should buy a hotel.
Don't say it too loud.